going to be a gentleman about it, or will we have to toss a coin?
In view of my gambling luck of late, the coin toss is out of the question, so I'll have to be a gentleman about it on one condition.
Hurry up and tell it. I'm famished.
Well, you see, I've become so attached to this little slice of bread that I'm just going to have to follow it around wherever it goes. I'm Reggie Vanderbilt.
Oh, yes, I know.
Oh?
I recognized you from your pictures in the papers. And once somebody pointed you out to me. I think it was at a horse show somewhere. I'm Gloria Morgan.
Ah, so it's you, is it? Glorious Gloria.
You've been reading Maury Paul's column.
Doesn't everything?
Maury certainly hopes so. He's supposed to be here tonight, but I haven't seen him yet.
Well, of course, one generally senses Maury before one sees him. I do wish he'd do something about that awful cologne.
Yes, it is a bit overwhelming, isn't it? But wasn't that adorable of him to name me that? Glorious Gloria. At first, I was sort of embarrassed by it, to tell you the truth. But it is terrifically flattering, after all, isn't it? Isn't this a terrific party? It's for my sister, you know, Thelma, and her brand new husband.
You know, I don't always admire Maury Paul's rather overstated journalistic style, but I dare say he deserves all of our congratulations this time. He certainly has mine.
For what?
For Glorious.
Hi, Gloria.
Oh, let me be the last to congratulate you, Junior.
Say hello to the lucky girl, Thelma. Say hello to Reggie Vanderbilt.
Hello, Reggie Vanderbilt. So pleased to meet you.
You have my condolences, you unfortunate child.
Ignore him. He's just green with envy, that's all.
He's right, you know. Don't mind me, I'll just ease off.
Oh, Maury! I was beginning to think you weren't going to show up at all. Where have you been?
Oh, here and there, darling. East side, west side, all around the town, saving the best for last.
Your column today was absolutely wicked.
Thank you, my dear.
Did you all see it? The item about the blonde Park Avenue matron and the Spanish couple.
Shame. I name no name.
Oh, as if that made a difference. The poor woman is probably fleeing the country this very minute.
Her husband hot on her heels, I should imagine.
To fast women and slow husbands.
Should I drink to that?
Not quite yet. Well, you see now why I've dubbed these two enchanting creatures the Magnificent Mornings. Although I dare say Thelma may be a little bit wan this evening, she has, after all, only recently returned from her honeymoon.
And the honeymoon's not over yet, Maury, I can assure you.
I should think such assurances would be most appropriately directed to the bride, privately and fervent and suitably frequent.
Oh, Maury, you're terrible.
Darling, they're playing our song. Thelma and I just tangoed in a marriage, you know.
Reggie, is it true they say you lost 74,000 at the tables night before last?
What's the matter if it's true or not? You've read it anyway. In the interest of journalistic accuracy, it was 76,000 as a matter of fact, but as I always say, tomorrow's another night.
Another night, to be sure. The question is, will it be one any less disastrous for you?
Maury, you're still missing the point. It's not whether you win or lose, it's the way you play the game.
They teach them that at Yale. They never recover from it.
Don't you love the way Maury talks?
Yes.
Thelma and Junior eloped. Elopements are so romantic, don't you think?
I wouldn't know. I've never eloped.
Mummy was furious.
But I didn't elope.
Oh, you're silly. About Thelma eloping. Mummy would much rather have done with Thelma and me what she did with Consuelo. Consuelo's our sister. She's older than us. Mummy arranged her marriage. She was 17, and she hardly knew the man, and he was much older than she. Not that matters, of course. And he is a French count, which makes Connie a countess. But it's not a very happy marriage, though, I'm sorry to say. Mummy believes in arranged marriages. But it's much better to marry for love, don't you think? Why, hello there.
Hello.
I didn't know you were here. We just arrived. Isn't it a scrumptious party? Who's giving it, do you know? We crashed.
Wouldn't know, so did I. Kathleen. My daughter.
She's sweet looking.
Yes, I think you two would hit it off very well, you know. She's just about your age, I would guess. She's 17.
So am I. Maybe we'll get to know each other.
Maybe you will.
We have a brother, too, Harry. He's the oldest. He was in the war, and he's been sort of upset ever since.
You live with your parents?
I live with Mommy at the ward office at the present. Thelma and I had our own sweet little flat for a while on Lower Fifth Avenue. We used to call it Chez Nous. We had such a swell time being on our own. Then Thelma up to the Loke with Junior, and I moved in with Mommy.
And where's Daddy?
Daddy lives in Europe most of the time. He's a sort of diplomat. We don't see very much of him. He sort of reminded me of my father a little bit. So, well, polished and sophisticated. So when we were very little, Mommy was always telling us that we were descended from Empress Eugenia of France and King Ferdinand III of Spain. But when we grew up, we found out there wasn't a word of truth in it. It was just one gigantic fib that Mommy made up. But we never let on that we found out, so she still thinks we believe it.
Why don't you tell her that you know the truth?
I don't do that. She'd be furious. Mommy likes things to be the way she wants them to be. One goes against her only at one's peril. If you know what I mean.
You have lovely hands.
Thank you. Mommy says dainty hands are a woman's greatest asset. When we were little, she creamed our hands every night, and we were put to bed with these little white cotton gloves on.
Harry, too?
Heavens, no, certainly not. You're pulling my leg.
Lest the evening conclude incomplete and far less than it might otherwise be, I must insist upon at least one terpsichorean turn round the floor with my Gloria before I wend my way out into the chill and lonely dark.
I think he wants a dodge.
Well, my darling, you appear to have altogether enchanted the most eligible bachelor in town.
You think so?
And why not, indeed? It's no less than my glorious Gloria deserves. After all, if there was such a thing as an American royal family, it would be the Vanderbilts, of course. And surely Reginald Claypool Vanderbilt would be its crown prince. Although I must say, in all candor, if there's anyone I know who should be most scrupulously adhering to the prohibitions of the Volstead Act, it's dear Reggie.
You mean he's a heavy drinker?
Oh, my dear child, just close your eyes and dance.
Tonight.
Let me see. Don't tell me. Tonight you met Reggie Vanderbilt.
Mommy, how did you...
Thelma told me. On the telephone.
Oh, darn it. Darn it all. I wanted to tell you. Oh, that Thelma.
Oh, come over here and give your mommy a big kiss, you silly goose. When it's good news, who cares who tells it?
Mommy, he's wonderful! He danced with me practically the whole evening.
Thelma told me.
Maury Paul says he likes me.
And why should he not? Everyone loves my darling girl. Why should Reggie Vanderbilt be different? I don't care how rich he is.
He brought me home in his car.
In his car? Was he a gentleman?
Oh, absolutely, Mommy. A perfect gentleman the entire evening. I think he's the most perfect gentleman I've ever known. He's invited me to Newport, his summer house. And his stable, Sandy Point Farm.
Newport? Uh-huh.
Well, near Newport. Portsmouth, actually. Rhode Island. To see his horses. He's famous for his horses. And he wants his mother to meet me.
You don't say. And when, may I ask, is he going to meet your mother?
Just as soon as possible, Mommy. I'd adore for him to meet you.
I have never met a Vanderbilt.
You will now.
You know, maybe it's a good idea if I come along there up to Newport with you. And then everybody gets to meet everybody all at once.
That's a perfect idea, Mommy.
Aren't my ideas always perfect?
Well, maybe once or twice they weren't so perfect. He doesn't dance too terribly well. But I'd say that was about his only flaw.
He's the richest, most eligible bachelor in the whole country. I don't complain how he dances.
And here's my pride and joy. Right, Bowie?
Yes, sir.
Fortitude.
He's magnificent, Reggie.
That, ladies, as our English cousins would say, is a horse and a hound.
Well, I don't know anything about horses, but he looks pretty good to me.
I know everything about horses, Mrs. Morgan, and believe you me, he's pretty good.
Call me Laura Reggie. Don't be so formal.
Laura, thank you. Wait till the horse show comes around in August. Then you'll see him do his stuff. There's nothing in the whole Northeast that can touch him. Well, look here, ladies. My growling stomach tells me it's just about time for luncheon. Come on, boys. Oh, my God, I must go out and change. We've been invited to partake of that repast at the Breakers. The Breakers is my mother's summer cottage up here.
Défaut, si sagesse prévaut. I can speak French, Reggie, but I can't make that up.
That's archaic French. It was taken from a very old French chateau. It says, "Little do I care for riches, and do not miss them, since only cleverness prevails in the end." It's amusing, don't you think, under the circumstances? I don't think Mother has ever seen the irony there.
The irony where, Reggie?
Oh, there you are. Ladies, I present my mother, Alice Gwynn Vanderbilt. Mother tells me that Gertrude is the only one of my siblings up today, just as well. Once you got Gertrude under your belt, you'll be able to handle the rest of the family with one hand tied behind your backs. Ah, there she is now.
Hello, Reggie.
How are you, my dear? Gertrude, may I introduce Miss Gloria Morgan? Gloria, this is my sister, Gertrude Whitney.
How do you do?
How do you do, Miss Morgan?
Is your husband not here today?
No, Harry's in Europe.
I have a brother named Harry.
Really?
Reggie speaks very fondly of your husband. He says he's a terrific polo player. I adore polo. Anyway, I'm so happy to have met you at last. I've heard so much about you.
Well, not too very much, I hope. Unlike Reggie, I don't flourish in the dazzling glare of publicity.
Oh, I know. He told me. He says you're a very private kind of person. He says that's hard for a Vanderbilt to be.
He's quite right.
I am of Spanish ancestry, yes. But I was born in South America, not Spain.
Oh, yes.
We are, however, descended on my mother's side from the Empress Eugenie of France and King Ferdinand III of Spain.
How very romantic.
I have always told my children that they have a very big responsibility to their ancestry. A royal blood is nothing to be sneezed at. Unfortunately, my father was only Irish.
Reggie said you might let us visit at your studio someday in Greenwich Village, and I could see the statues you make.
My sculptures. Yes, do come down anytime.
It's so unusual for a woman like, well, a woman of your station in life to be an artist, too.
Yes, I suppose it is.
I do needlepoint. That's about as artistic as I can be.
Oh?
And I make some of my own clothes, too. Not because I have to, you understand. I just enjoy doing it.
How clever of you.
I may tell you that I was very, very displeased that Thelma eloped. I do not believe in elopements. My oldest daughter, Consuelo, is now the Comtesse de Maupas de Jougla of France. Why? Because I arranged her marriage.
Did you really?
I believe absolutely in arranged marriages. Only this way can the pure line of ancestry be maintained and the fortunes kept in the hands of the aristocracy, where they belong.
Reggie said you also help other artists out a lot, buying their paintings and in financial ways.
I do what I can to help. My fondest wish is to establish a museum one day for others to see what must be seen.
Really? That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? I don't go to museums all that much, to tell the truth, but I think they're wonderful to have.
Well, perhaps you'll visit mine one day.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
I shall call it the Whitney Museum of American Art. One day.
It was a sparkling day in the country yesterday for Reginald Vanderbilt and Gloria Mercedes Morgan, who spent a good part of the afternoon in an automobile trip with several friends in Westchester County. Early in the afternoon, they stopped at the Westchester Biltmore Country Club near Rye, where they had luncheon and later strolled on the golf links and posed for photographers. Thus far, Reggie and Gloria have made only the most half-hearted attempts to squelch the rumors of romance that surround the oft-seen together couple. Only last week, Gloria was one of the guests at a costume party Reggie gave at his home for his daughter Kathleen. On that occasion, Gloria wore a Louis XVI gown of flowered brocade and a white wig, and was one of the most admired of the dancers at the small party. But then, when hasn't Glorious Gloria been one of the most admired wherever she appeared?
Hello, Mother.
Thank you for coming by.
As I am summoned, so shall I come by.
I gather you've been keeping company with this girl for some time now. Time enough, I thought, for you to tell me a bit about her.
I wonder if I can tell you very much more than you've already found out for yourself.
She's young.
18. Yes, I know, and I'm 43. Well, it wouldn't be the first May, December, well, September marriage in the Vanderbilt family.
Am I to assume, then, that you're contemplating marriage with her?
I'm contemplating asking her. It's about as far as I've got.
She's not one of the Morgans, you know.
I wish she were, Mother, for your sake.
And I should think a little for your own.
Touché. Yes, I must admit that a substantial dowry would be not altogether unwelcome in my present financial situation. Well, so much for family background. Now, what's the next order of business?
One's family background is something one can take neither praise nor blame for. Character and reputation, however, is another matter.
Absolutely. And?
These Morgan girls have, as I believe the expression has it, been around.
Oh, for Pete's sake, Mother, how can a girl have been around at the age of 18?
Are you being naive, Reggie, or are you supposing I am?
To be carefree, high-spirited, and decidedly devil-may-care is no bad reflection on a girl's character these days, Mother. In fact, on the other hand, it's a rather good reflection on her possibilities as wife to a somewhat jaded, middle-aged, not in the best of health gentleman, such as you see before you now.
Reggie, marriage is a very serious matter. I think those of your generation often enter into it, much as you would gamble at those casinos you frequent, by closing your eyes and hoping for the best.
Oh, now, Mother, be honest. Generations have nothing to do with it. In the history of the world, and if the truth be told, when has anyone ever entered into marriage any other way than by closing one's eyes and hoping for the best?
Touché.
Well, not that it really matters all that much, I suppose. But there might be a good chance she wouldn't approve of our marriage.
What do you mean, not that it really matters? It matters to me, Reggie.
It does? Why?
Well, it's as though she was saying for all the world to hear that I'm not right for you. That I'm not the girl you should marry.
Well, I think you're the girl I should marry.
I don't know why we're even talking like this. You haven't even asked me yet, for pity's sake.
Well, that was sort of asking you, wasn't it?
What? Do you think I'm the girl you should marry? That's not a proposal, Reggie. That's an opinion.
Well, you must admit I'm definitely working up to it, though.
What has your mother got against me anyway? She doesn't even know me, for heaven's sake.
Well, only by reputation, of course.
What reputation?
Well, the sweet old dear has probably been letting some of those old fogey pals of hers bend her ear and reading the gossip columns, although she'd never in the world admit to that. I suppose she's come to the conclusion that our glorious Gloria is, by her standards, something of a scarlet woman.
Scarlet woman? Is she implying? Do you mean to say that she thinks that I'm not a...
Come on, darling. It doesn't matter a damn what she thinks.
It matters to me, by golly.
You what? Surely you're joking.
I certainly am not.
A doctor? To verify that you're a...
Yes.
That is absolutely marvelous. That's bully.
Now it's official. Let's see what your mother has to say about my reputation now.
Nelson Hamilton, M.D. Going to be a brilliant marriage, my dear. The most brilliant in years. It's been a long time since this family had one. When a family's divorces begin to outnumber its marriages, we must question the intelligence of its romantic choices. But in this case, there are no questions to be asked. Reggie, has Gloria received her pearls as yet?
Gloria, deserves only the best, Mother. Unfortunately, I am not in a position at the moment, just temporarily, of course, to provide the best.
I couldn't care less. Having Reggie, I have all a woman could possibly desire.
Well, that's very admirable of you, my dear. But shall we temper romance with a touch of practicality? All Vanderbilt women have pearls.
I have to speak to you about something, darling. You know, it's true that as my wife, you have the prestige and I like to think the honor of the Vanderbilt name. But I'm afraid there will be very little money to live up to it. To be perfectly honest, I've spent nearly every damn cent of my personal fortune. An amount which, quite frankly, I'm almost too embarrassed to specify, but I suppose that $25 million would be a fairly accurate estimate. The fact is, I live now on the income of a trust established by my father. At least I tried to live on it. Not always successfully, I'm afraid. I do rely rather heavily on the credit accorded the illustrious name of Vanderbilt. And from time to time, I'm embarrassed to say, I'm forced to count on my mother's generosity. Of course, as long... Hear me out, darling, please. Of course, as long as I live, you will be well taken care of. No problem. But when I die, that trust fund of $5 million will go not to you, but to my daughter, Kathleen.
Richie, I don't care, darling.
Your only chance of financial security in the future would be for us to have a child. We would then share the trust fund equally with Kathleen. But your chances of having a child by me, well, my doctor very much doubts that I can become a father again. You see?
Richie, it's you I love. Not your name or the Vanderbilt money. I don't care about being poor or about the future as long as I have you now.
I don't know what I'd have done if you hadn't said that.
Column from February 11, 1923. After nearly a year of romance, rumor, high hopes, and bated breath, it's finally official. With his cable blessing from Brussels, where his United States Consul General, Mr. Harry Hayes Morgan, has made the way clear for the marriage of his daughter, Gloria Mercedes Morgan, to Reginald Claypool Vanderbilt. In less than a month from now, glorious Gloria will march down the aisle to the marriage made in heaven that has always been her destiny. In marrying before the age of 20, she follows in the footsteps of her two sisters, Consuela, who in July 1920 married Count Jean de Montpont de Jougloire, and Thelma, now Jamesville Converse. As reported earlier in this column, Consuela was divorced last month in Paris, and it is now rumored that Thelma, too, is seeking a divorce. Although, so far, this has been flatly denied by members of the family.
It could be a brilliant marriage.
I'll say. Gloria's sure been a lot luckier than I was.
Your terrible marriage has nothing to do with luck. I told you from the start it was a terrible mistake. He was practically penniless.
Mommy, you loved Junior at first.
Never. I said so because I wanted Thelma to be happy.
People who live in glass houses shouldn't sling mud, Mummy.
Meaning?
Your own marriage hasn't been exactly super-duper.
It's true. Your papa and I don't like each other. But we're still married. As for you, it could be a brilliant marriage. But...
Maureen told me Reggie gave his first wife $1 million as a wedding present.
And how much did he give her for the divorce, I wonder? Everybody knows that Reggie Vanderbilt is not a well man for his age.
He's going to stop drinking. He already discussed that with me.
Mommy, for goodness sake, Gloria is marrying a Vanderbilt. You should be thrilled speechless. Oh, I can hardly stand it.
You are descended from the grandees of Spain. If anyone should be thrilled, it should be Alice Vanderbilt. I must say, I do admire Reggie for being so frank and above the board about his financial situation. This I admire.
That's the kind of man he is.
Honesty is an admirable quality in a man. Also unusual. But I think you should have a baby as quick as you can. Here she is at last, our own precious princess. Our beautiful girl, our darling child. You know, Reggie, she looks a little bit like you, but mostly she looks like Gloria. Don't you think mostly she looks like Gloria, Consuelo?
Babies all look alike to me, Mama.
Well, if you had one of your own one of these days, you would never say such a thing. But to think that this incredibly beautiful creature has caused her mama such pain to be born, such agony to be brought into this world. Always, I tell them, the bearing of a child is the most terrible experience of a woman's life. Didn't I always tell you that? Shame on you. Shame, 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 you naughty little thing. But grandmother will forgive you. Grandmother forgives you absolutely.
Mommy, I think it's her lunchtime.
Oh, must I surrender her?
Yes, Mama, you must.
Oh. The christening should be soon. Has Gertrude consented to be godmother?
She certainly has.
She was delighted we asked her.
Well, what's her decision about a name for this gorgeous kid?
Gloria Laura Vanderbilt.
Our little Gloria. Someone you have to meet. I found her at last, finally. Absolutely perfect, perfect. She has come with the most excellent references, trade in Switzerland, and among others, she has been with the daughter of President Cleveland.
Morning, Reggie.
Morning, darling. Sleep well?
So. How's the baby?
Bully, absolutely bully.
Reggie, darling, the drain in my bathroom is still not working properly. I do wish that you would speak to Norton about it again.
Yes, I'll say to it, my dear. I promise.
I've engaged her at a salary of $125 a month. I call her a bargain.
100, Mommy. I haven't even met her yet.
Why do you have to meet her? Don't you trust your mama anymore to know what's best for you? Miss Kislich, this is Mrs. Vanderbilt. Gloria, Miss Emma Kislich.
Hello. I'm pleased to make your acquaintance.
Name this child.
Gloria Laura.
Gloria Laura, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, and do sign you with the sign of the cross.
Might I ask why the child was not baptized in the Roman Catholic faith, her mother's own religion? Be a true child of the church.
Well, may you ask, nurse. I myself am not at all pleased about it. We have been Catholics for generations. But Mr. Vanderbilt, insisted on his own Episcopalian persuasion. And Gloria? Well, I'm afraid that my daughter is often too weak when it comes to speaking right out about her own rights.
The Catholic faith is the only true faith.
Certainly. Absolutely. But what's the use? The deed is done.
I shall pray to Jesus every day for the soul of this unfortunate child.
Oh, I'm sorry, nurse. I didn't mean to interrupt you in the middle of your... I came to say goodnight to the baby. Oh, is she asleep already?
Yes.
Nurse, are you still sure you'd rather not sleep in your own room? The baby's nearly 18 months old now, you know. I mean, it really isn't necessary for you to stay.
I prefer here, miss. With the child. With me, she'll be safe.
Well, if you really do prefer it, it's up to you, of course. Well, then, good night.
Good night, miss.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good morning.
Are you all right, sir? Shall I...
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Perfectly all right, Lord. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Who do you think will win the race?
There's a message for you, ma'am, from Mrs. Morgan.
Reggie? Sorry to wake you.
Well, I wasn't sleeping.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. I've never in my life seen so much fuss made over a little sore throat. It's time I was up and about, you know?
When the doctor says so, Reggie. Please, not until then. You promise me.
Ah.
Darling, something's come up. Mommy just called. She got a cable from Chile. Her mother is dying. My own grandmother, and I've never even seen her. Mommy's just begging for me to go down there with her.
To Chile?
Santiago, yes. Do you mind terribly? I hate to leave you at a time like
Oh, at a time like what? Don't be silly. When must you leave?
practically right now. Mommy's booked passage for us tomorrow afternoon from New York.
Shouldn't you be seeing to your packing instead of sitting here nattering away to me?
I'll call you from New York.
I wish I was going with you. I've never been to Chile.
Next time we'll go together.
That's the ticket.
Thank you, Norton.
Be sure I'm packed tonight. We must be on board ship early tomorrow.
Hello? Hello? This is Mrs. Vanderbilt. I'm calling to speak to my husband. Who is this? I don't recognize your voice.
This is Miss Webb. I'm Dr. Locke's nurse.
Nurse? Dr. Locke, did you say? I don't know any Dr. Locke.
Nurse, who is that?
Mrs. Vanderbilt, ma'am.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Gloria.
Alice, is that you? What are you doing there? What's going on?
I've been trying to reach you all day, dear.
I've been out. I was at the Jeffersons' cocktail party. Alice, what is it?
I'm afraid Reggie has taken a turn for the worse.
Hemorrhaging.
He's gone, my dear.
What arrangements have been made, Mother?
The mortuary will bring his body here this afternoon for display. The service will be tomorrow morning at St. Mary's Episcopal in South Portsmouth. And all local social events will be canceled, of course.
The casino lowered its flag to half mast.
Burial will be on Staten Island, of course.
Of course.
Staten Island?
The Vanderbilt family vault. Gloria, I do believe I mentioned it to you.
Oh. Did you?
Yes, so you did. Oh, poor Gloria. Our poor, dear, darling little Gloria.
Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all.
Still, I wish that Mr. Wickersham himself could have come.
I'm sure the man he's sending will be perfectly fine, Mama.
Mr. Wickersham is a very close friend of your papa's. And at times like this, it's much better to combine business with friendship than business with a stranger.
Mama, all Gloria needs now is someone who can add and subtract. Any lawyer can do that. Well, almost any lawyer. Mr. Gilchrist?
Mrs. Vanderbilt. The will does specify that you're to receive both this house and Sandy Point Farm. Had Mr. Vanderbilt's mother predeceased him, he would have inherited her house at 1 West 57th Street, and you would have received $500,000 from the sale of that house. However, since Alice Vanderbilt is still living, that provision is void, of course.
She will live forever.
So, other than that real property bequeathed to you, Mrs. Vanderbilt, the plain truth is that your husband died insolvent. His debts far exceed the value of the estate.
Fantastic. Incredible.
The only true asset in the estate is the $5 million trust created by Mr. Vanderbilt's father in 1899. This will now pass in equal shares to your husband's daughter, Kathleen, and to your own daughter, Gloria.
Well, what will a little baby do with $2.5 million?
Eventually she'll think of something, Mama.
It's all right for you to be so amused.
What makes you think you're amusing, Mama?
Connie, Mommy, for pity's sake.
Mr. Wickersham and I both feel it's imperative that a guardian be appointed to administer your daughter's inheritance, Mrs. Vanderbilt, since you yourself, as I understand it, aren't yet of age.
Only 20, too young to be a guardian. In fact, she should have a guardian for herself.
I don't know anything about money anyway.
Except how to spend it.
Well, I suppose all of us know well enough how to do that, Mrs. Morgan. Mr. Wickersham has agreed to act as your daughter's guardian, should you so desire.
We so desire. How soon can Gloria sell the farm at Newport and all those horses?
God's sake, Mama.
Connie! Walk out in a huff if you like. But it seems to me that you do not understand what is going on here. What is going on here is a little infant baby with a fortune of money and a mother who doesn't have a red cent.
And so, still reeling from the news of the disastrous state of Reggie's financial affairs at the time of his death, Gloria is forced now to take the only step left open to her. A step that many might not envy. Tomorrow morning, accompanied by her daughter's court-appointed legal guardian, Mr. Thomas B. Gilchrist, she will journey to Lower Manhattan, where, in the New York County Courthouse, she will make a formal appeal to surrogate James Aloysius Foley, the administrator of her daughter's trust fund. And what is the nature of that appeal? Why, no more than she is entitled to as the mother of little Gloria, Destiny's Tot. Merely a reasonable allotment of funds from that $2.5 million trust, in order to be provided the financial independence necessary to raise her infant child in the style and manner to which she is so rightfully entitled, as heiress to one of the world's great and fabled fortunes.
You may be the world's most beautiful widow, but you're still also the world's poorest one. That's all I can say. How can you live on $48,000 a year? And it isn't even your money. It's little Gloria's money. And you have to make account to Mr. Wickersham and Mr. Gilchrist for every little nickel that you spend is ridiculous.
My share from the sale of the house and the farm is totally mine, Mummy. We'll manage.
The way you live, it'll be gone in no time. Poof, like that, the way you live.
Can we stop talking about money for a while, Mummy, please?
You don't fool me, Gloria. You don't want to talk about it, maybe, but you think about it as much as anybody.
Not as much as you.
All right. If we can't do anything about the money situation, at least we can do something about the religious situation.
What religious situation?
Little Gloria's religious situation, I already told you.
Oh, that. I really don't think it's all that important now, Mummy.
I'm ashamed of you, Gloria, deeply ashamed, may God forgive you. Our family has been Catholic for generations. It's too late to undo the wrong that Reggie did to you in the financial way.
He didn't do me any wrong.
But it's not too late to undo the wrong he did to little Gloria in the religious way. Therefore, I have seen to it.
What do you mean you've seen to it?
It's all arranged. We have an appointment Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m.
An appointment where?
Do you believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting?
I do.
Is it your will that Gloria should be baptized in the faith of the Church, which we have all professed with you?
It is.
Here we go, sweetheart.
Gloria, ego te baptizo, nami Patris et Spiritus Sancti.
Oh, sweetie, there.
Sailing for Southampton this morning aboard the great White Star liner Leviathan was the tragic but brave figure of Gloria Morgan Vanderbilt. Still in mourning for her dead husband Reggie, so sadly cut down in his prime, oh, how we all miss his unfailingly spirited presence among us. Gloria was accompanied by her mother, Mrs. Harry Hayes Morgan, and her infant daughter. Awaiting them in merry old England, of course, will be Gloria's sister, Thelma Morgan Converse. Divorced now from James Vale Converse, the always radiant Thelma has recently been the favored weekend guest of Edward, Prince of Wales, who, should anyone need reminding, and shame on you if you do, is England's future king. A bon voyage, then, for the grieving widow Vanderbilt. We sincerely hope that we'll be able to welcome her home again soon.
Judge Foley, I want to make my home permanently in Paris.
Yes, Mr. Gilchrist informed me of that wish, Mrs. Vanderbilt.
I know he did, but he told me that if I did that, settle permanently in Europe, you might reduce my allowance from Gloria's trust. That's why I wanted to speak to you personally.
I have only the child's best interests at heart, Mrs. Vanderbilt. Seems only right and proper she be raised in her own country, in America. I understand from Mr. Gilchrist you've been spending a good deal of time in Europe since your husband's death.
Well, yes. I've been back and forth a few times. 3 times, I guess, in the last 6 months or so.
That's a lot of traveling, isn't it?
Travel has always been a very large part of my life, you know. I was born in Europe, and when I was a child, we were always traveling somewhere. We spent most of our lives in Europe. Travel is just a natural part of our life, I guess. Reggie and I were always traveling when he was alive.
And you prefer Europe to America, do you?
It's more like Europe prefers me more than America does.
I don't quite understand, Mrs. Vanderbilt.
Judge Foley, the fact is, I have hardly a single friend left here since Reggie died. It's as though none of them ever even liked me in the first place, and only accepted me because I was Reggie's wife. And then once he was gone, they didn't have to accept me anymore. And boy, they sure haven't. I never get invited anywhere when I'm here. Except for Mrs. Vanderbilt. She's still very kind to me. She's a wonderful person. But besides all that, I don't even have her home here anymore.
I didn't realize it was quite such an emotional predicament for you, Mrs. Vanderbilt.
I know. That's because I've been letting Tom Gilchrist do all the talking to you. That's why I came back from Europe this time, expressly to see you personally, to try and make you see my circumstances. All my friends are in Europe now, and most of my family. My sister's even going to marry an Englishman, you know. So she'll be making her home there permanently from now on. We've always been very close, Thelma and I. She's going to marry a lord, Lord Furness. She's going to be a lady.
Oh, I'm sure she's always been that.
I meant in the royalty sense, of course. Sir, if you'll let me move to Europe with Gloria, I promise I'll bring her back when it gets time for her to go to school. In the meanwhile, she could be learning French while she's young. And that would be very beneficial, don't you think? To have a second language already while she's still so young.
I suppose it has its advantages. I don't speak any other languages myself.
I'd be so terrifically grateful to you, Judge Foley.
Dear Gloria, I expect to be in London and Paris on vacation this summer. I'm hoping to take a short jaunt to the Riviera and thought I might look you up while I'm in the neighborhood, probably sometime in August. It would be a great pleasure to see you again and perhaps chat face-to-face a bit about Gloria's future. I'll telephone you first, of course, to arrange a mutually convenient time for my visit. Hoping this finds you well, I remain, as always, cordially, Tom Gilchrist.
Welcome to paradise.
Good to see you again, Gloria.
The party's on the terrace.
You're looking very well indeed, Gloria.
I know. I don't look a day over 27.
Trouble is, I am 27.
Thelma says we're aging gracefully so far.
How is Thelma? It's been years since I've seen her.
Fit as a fiddle. She has a son, you know, Tony. I think he's 2 years old.
You don't say. I suppose I haven't seen Thelma since shortly after she was married.
You're just in time for the divorce. I suppose you've heard about the thing with the Prince of Wales.
I confess to occasionally stealing a glance at a gossip column.
He'll never marry her, of course. They never marry commoners. Still in all, flaming love affair with the future King of England. It's quite a feather in anyone's cap. I ask you now, what has Thelma got that I haven't got?
I can't imagine a thing, can you? You two must have a lot of things to talk over. Would you excuse me? Won't you? Nice meeting you. Bye-bye.
Isn't he scrumptious?
By the way, I ran into your mother last week in New York at the theater. I told her I'd be seeing you. She sends her best.
Oh, pooh, she did not. You don't have to fib to me. If she sent anything, it was her worst. She's never really forgiven me, you know, for telling her that she couldn't live with me anymore. Can you imagine her staying in such a snit for 5 years over such a silly thing as that?
How is Gloria? Will I see her today?
No, she's in Gleal this summer with her nurse. She'd only be bored to tears here. There she has other kids her own age. And I suppose you've come bearing all sorts of dire warnings from Mr. Wicketrim and Surrogate Foley about bringing her back next year.
Hardly dire warnings. A gentle reminder, maybe.
No, don't play the cagey lawyer with me, Tom Gilchrist. I've been under your thumbs for too long to be fooled by your smooth-talking ways at this late date, believe me.
You have to admit the surrogate did grant you an extra year abroad beyond our original agreement.
Oh, sure. A great big favor from the high mucky-muck Judge Foley. Isn't he just the cat's pajamas now, being so generous to poor little me?
He's only doing his duty according to the law, Gloria.
The law, the law. That's all I've been hearing for the past 6 years. Do this, Gloria, do that, Gloria. It's the law. When we whistle, you better jump, Gloria, or else we'll hit you right where it hurts, right in the good old pocketbook.
Please, Gloria, there's no cause for you to be upset.
Now I'm supposed to give up the wonderful, beautiful life I've established over here, which I love, and go back to New York, which I hate. All because my daughter's an American heiress, and God forbid that she should grow up anyplace else but the good old U.S. of A. And what about the good life she has here? She has a terrific, happy life here. She couldn't ask for anything better. Have any of you thought about that?
Gloria, if it was up to me personally, you could live wherever you chose.
It's a pretty awful state of affairs when a person's own child becomes a rope around your neck and you have to be dragged anywhere she has to go. Now I can't live where I want to because of Gloria. It's all Gloria's fault.
Thelma, darling. Gloria and nurse departing Nice today. Arrive England the 7th. Thanks for the offer to take Gloria in for a few months. How perfect for her to celebrate her 8th birthday in an English castle. Will you meet me in Paris? Hope so.
Hello, Gloria. Hello. Hello, Miss Keesley. This is your cousin Tony. Come inside, because I've got a lovely tea waiting for you.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Dodo, I don't like it in England. I don't like to stay in this house.
Oh, I don't blame you, my darling. Such a damp and gloomy place it is. Full of cold drafts. Terrible for your health, too. And well, she knows it.
Who?
Your mother, that's who. Oh, well and fine for her to be gallivanting in Paris, France. Well, my sweetest child is left to live in this terrible barn of a place. Oh, she's a rare beast, your mother is.
What's a rare beast?
It's what no innocent, helpless creature such as you are should have for a mother. That's what it is.
I want to see Nanny, Dodo.
Your dear grandma's too far away to see this terribleness, but she knows of it. I see to that. We are in communication, your grandma and I. Don't you worry, my love.
Dear Nanny, I love you so much and I'm longing to see you. I'm very unhappy in England. Tony's nurse said that I can't have any birthday presents because my birthday is so near to Christmas. I'm an unlucky little girl. Love from Gloria. Dear Nanny, Tony's nurse is putting me into another room every week. My mother is so bad to me, I wish I could run away to New York to you. Love, Gloria. Dear Nanny, I love the cards that you send me. This is not written very well because I'm in bed, ill, and the doctor says that I have a bad sore throat and a bad gland in my neck feels as if a dagger sticks through it. Dear Nanny, I love you so much. My mother was in Paris enjoying herself while poor me was unhappy in England. She is a rare beast. I do want to go to New York. Tony's nurse is treating me very badly and sometimes I cry.
Read them and weep, Mr. Gilchrist. Read them and weep.
What are these, Mrs. Morgan?
If you are in need of further evidence of the desperate need for the rescue of this pitiable child, I have a record supplied by her nurse, which should prove, without a shadow of a doubt, Surrogate Foley's dreadful error in allowing Gloria an extra year abroad.
Oh?
Then in January of last year, 1931, the child was brought to New York and left at the Sherry Netherland Hotel. While her mother...
Alone?
No, with the nurse. While her mother and the Marchioness of Milford Haven went to California. In March, the child was sent back to Paris while her mother went to England. In April, the child was sent to England while her mother returned to Paris. Well, you'll see. It's all quite detailed.
Now we presume this is all quite accurate?
I have no reason to doubt it, sir. Mrs. Morgan does seem to me to have the child's best interests at heart. Of course, it may all be academic at this point.
Why is that?
Well, I've just recently had a letter from Gloria, Mrs. Vanderbilt, and she's bringing the child back here next month. Much sooner, of course, than you'd agreed to let her remain in Europe. It seems that little Gloria has to have her tonsils out, and her mother much prefers that that be done here rather than in Europe.
Well, that's a promising sign at least. Good for her.
Well, in any case, my impression is that the child will be coming home to stay this time.
All hail this day, that so long awaited return to these shores of Gloria Morgan Vanderbilt, too long absent from us all. Would that her native land might provide her a more joyous aspect than these trying times of the Great Depression that has so sapped our spirits of late. But of this we may be certain, that Gloria's presence among us once again will surely afford us a sorely needed tonic in these dispiriting days, with that very special sparkle and spunk for which she has always been so justly treasured. Welcome home, Gloria. We missed you.
Welcome home, Mrs. Vanderbilt.
Thank you, Charles.
Miss Gloria. Miss Kieslick.
Hello, Mr. Zog.
This is Miss Cayo, my personal maid. I don't believe you've met yet.
How do you do, miss?
Charles will show you to your room, Maria. This is Maria's first trip to America, so let's all try to make her welcome.
Right this way.
Good morning! Are you ready for a scrumptious surprise? Come see what I got for you. It's just been delivered. Just for you.
For me?
All for your very own, my darling.
I have an itch. Shall I come and scratch it for you? Here's a surprise. Welcome home. Hello, darling. How are you? Glad to see you. Hello, Gloria.
Hello, Gertrude. We were just in the neighborhood, so I thought we'd drop by.
Good. Go and talk to Cecil, darling. He's missed you terribly. Come and sit down in the quiet over here. I think you should have one right away, Gloria.
Is it really so serious here?
Oh, it's become perfectly appalling.
Mommy claims she read in the paper that there have been a couple of thousand kidnappings in this country in the past couple of years. Of course, Mommy's always exaggerating. It can't be true.
Well, I'm afraid it is. Well, certainly not far from wrong. I think it's got a lot to do with the Depression. These are desperate times for so many people.
And you really have bodyguards for all of your grandchildren?
Yes, I certainly do.
Gods, I had no idea all this was going on back here. I suppose in Europe, one just gets out of touch. The first hint we had was coming over on the boat when we heard about the Lindbergh baby.
I really think you should engage someone right away, Gloria.
Am I really going to have a bodyguard just for me, Dodo?
Oh, you bet you are. Starting first thing tomorrow. You have to be saved, my darling. And these terrible people that steal children and kill them.
Unless you pay money, Mommy said.
Sometimes even when you pay, they kill you anyway. And they find your body rotten in some dark wood someplace or some dark hole somewhere. And remember what it said about you when we got back to America? In all the newspapers, the richest little child in America, they said, and with pictures. Now all those terrible kidnappers know what you look like and where you live. So you'll need more protection than any little girl in the whole world. And that's what you will have, my darling. Now, off to sleep with you. And pleasant dreams. Better do your job right, mister. That's all I can say. Remember the Lindbergh baby and all the other kidnappings. The world's gone crazy with kidnappings. So remember, eyes open every minute. I myself haven't taken a single day off since little Gloria was 3 weeks old. Never have I slept in any room but the child's room. All that time, right with her. Because that's my duty. To be always with that child, everywhere. I would never leave this child. So you watch her, guard her. Every move she makes. Her money, her life.
did I tell you? The tiny corpse was discovered in a shallow grave in a wooded area near Hopewell, New Jersey, a little over a mile from the Lindbergh mansion from which the infant was kidnapped last March 1st. The body showed evidence of prolonged exposure to the elements, and severe decomposition had taken place. The skull was fractured. It is believed that the infant was murdered very soon after the kidnapping, perhaps within hours.
Well, it's not appendicitis. And it certainly has nothing to do with her tonsillectomy.
But the pains in her stomach. She was in agony with the pains in her stomach.
Those seem to have subsided considerably. At this point, I can't seem to determine anything physically wrong with her. It seems that her distress is more emotional rather than physical, in fact.
Emotional?
Yes, she seems to be in a state of intense fear and apprehension.
What could she be afraid of?
I get the impression that she feels that her life is in danger somehow. I can't understand that.
I'll stay with her now, nurse.
The doctors don't think it's a good idea for her to go to Newport to recuperate from the tonsillectomy. It's so far from New York. And then...
Yes, so they told me as well. I spoke to Dr. Schloss and Dr. Craig yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I was very concerned about the child. I felt I wanted to. I hope you don't mind me speaking to them directly.
Oh, not at all.
And when are you off to Europe? When did you say?
Next week. I'm booked on the Mauritania. But if Gloria can...
Why not let me take her out to Long Island?
Long Island?
Wheatley Hill. She can stay with me.
Well, really? That's very kind of you, Gertrude.
Good. Then it's all settled then.
It's really very kind of you.
What I should most like to know, gentlemen, is if there could be any specific physical malady to be causing these dreadful night terrors the child suffers from constantly. She's awakened screaming with fear nearly every night that she's been here these past several weeks.
Mrs. Whitney, I have been this child's pediatrician since her birth, and I think I'm best qualified to comment on this. In my opinion, her difficulty is virtually entirely emotional, certainly due to considerable degree to mental upset, and it's this nervous condition that causes her to magnify any discomfort she might feel, or even, perhaps, to imagine discomfort that isn't actually present.
Dr. Freud, I presume. And what do you suppose is the cause of this mental upset, Dr. Schloss?
There's no question in my mind about that. For one thing, the influence of this nurse Kieslichers over the child's mind. She passes on her own alarms and anxieties about Gloria to the child herself. And then, of course, there's this child's situation with the mother who absented herself over the years for considerable periods of time.
Dr. Schloss, my own children were raised to a very considerable degree by nurses and nannies. I don't remember any of them awakening in the night, screaming in fear of their lives.
Frankly, my impression is that the nurse is extraordinarily devoted to the child.
Oh, yes, that can't be disputed. If it weren't for Nurse Kieslich, I would be at my wit's end. The child adores her.
Gentlemen, if I may cut to the heart of the matter here. What next?
The cough troubles me. I think a Mantoux test for tuberculosis is definitely indicated at this juncture.
I suggest as well a complete barium X-ray series of the intestinal tract, as well as the head, sinus, and chest.
Of course, we can't rule out surgery. We could just go right on in there and find out exactly what the dickens is going on.
Must you get right back to town?
Of course not.
Can you stay the night?
I'm afraid not. Hazel and I have a dinner engagement.
What about Paris next month? Will it be possible for you? You won't let me down, will you, Josh?
I won't let you down. For 2 lovely weeks, I won't let you down.
Oh, I thought perhaps the child's difficulty would mean that I'd have to change my plans, but I think between the nurse and the doctors, she'll be in good hands while I'm away. Gloria much improved, but doctors advised would be most beneficial for her to remain Wheatley Hills until December if I can enter her Greenvale School, Long Island. May she stay with me until then? Please reply, Wheatley Hills, Gertrude.
Delighted to hear of Gloria's recovery. Greenvale School all right with me if having her no hardship on you. Returning from Paris. Lusitania arriving Thursday, September 25. Love to Gloria. Gloria.
You wanted to see me, Mrs. Whitney?
Yes, nurse, come in. In going over the bills for little Gloria's medical treatments, I find that in the 6 weeks or so that I've been away, she was examined 53 times by no less than 8 different physicians, at a cost, I might add, of many thousands of dollars. I believe it would be correct to say the matter is somewhat out of hand.
They was very fine doctors, Mrs. Whitney.
Oh, I have no doubts to their qualifications, nurse. It's their numbers that I object to. From now on, Gloria will be in the care of Dr. St. Lawrence. I've made an appointment for him to see her next week, and I suggest that Mrs. Vanderbilt accompany us on our visit to him.
She's come back?
Yes.
That won't be good for Gloria.
Although the child is unusually pale and tired-looking, I find her to be quite normal, organically. Functionally, however, I find she's anything but normal. I'm going to prescribe certain vitamins and minerals. Cod liver oil, malting oil, and a diet that must be strictly adhered to. She's to attend school for half a day only. She must be in bed 16 out of every 24 hours. She's to receive absolutely no physical exercise. Now, as for these so-called night terrors, the cause is perfectly obvious. 1, her undernourished condition, and 2, her chronic constipation. We'll have her fit as a fiddle again in no time.
How good of you to come, Mr. Gilchrist.
Mrs. Whitney?
This is my attorney, Mr. Crocker. Frank, this is Gloria's guardian, Mr. Gilchrist.
My pleasure. How do you do? Hello, Mrs. Morgan.
So you see that after nearly a year of the child staying with me on Long Island, her mother has been absent for a total of almost 8 months. It's become quite clear that Gloria prefers the carefree life of Europe to the responsibilities of motherhood. As to her personal, unfortunately, much publicized behavior, it's very regrettable that she doesn't seem to have the slightest regard for the dignity of the Vanderbilt name, a fact that distresses us all very deeply. I'm sorry, Laura.
Oh, that's all right, Gertrude. You can say whatever you like. I am behind you 1,000%.
I feel particularly responsible to my dead brother and his child. If Reggie were alive, well, in any event, I feel that the time has come for some serious discussion of little Gloria's welfare. Mr. Crocker agrees with me.
And so do I. If the child is left in Gloria's clutches, her very life is in danger. Her very life, sir.
Dear Mrs. Vanderbilt, your prolonged absence from this country, coupled with your daughter's continued residence with Mrs. Whitney, creates a troublesome situation regarding which Surrogate Foley has already spoken to me. It is possible the surrogate may require little Gloria's guardian to discontinue payments to you under his order and require the guardian himself to apply the monies directly for your daughter's maintenance. Please let me know when you expect to return to New York. Yours very sincerely, Thomas B. Gilchrist.
I think you'll be quite pleased when you see her. She's come along so beautifully in every respect, physically and mentally.
She did sound swell on the telephone yesterday.
Oh, yes. She's gained weight. Her color is better. She catches cold far less easily. I think Dr. St. Lawrence should be very proud of himself.
I can't wait to see her.
Oh, yes. You must come out. You're welcome to come whenever you like and stay as long as you like.
Or maybe she could come into town and I could see her here.
She's done so well at Greenvale. She's attending a full day now, you know. She's made so many darling little friends.
I imagine the Chapin School right here would be just as good as Greenvale, don't you think?
Well, in the academic sense, I suppose so, yes. But, of course, Dr. St. Lawrence feels that it would be altogether harmful to send her to school in the city. She does so love the country, and it's so very healthful for her.
It sounds as though it'd be downright cruel to bring her to the city to live.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that, perhaps, but I do think it would be an unkindness to the child. I think you'll see what I mean once you see how happy she is out there.
The fact is that Surrogate Foley just isn't disposed to continue paying you the full $4,000 a month while Gloria is living with Mrs. Whitney, you see? So?
Then she can live in New York, right here, and go to the Chapin School, which was the original plan in the first place, way back, do you remember?
But, you see, everyone has agreed that Gloria is so happy in the country, and that that's the right place for her to be at present.
What does all this come down to, Mr. Gilchrist?
Beginning in June, you're to receive $750 per month for your expenses.
$750 a month?
The rent for your New York house will be paid directly by Mr. Wickersham, as well as the wages for the nurse, Miss Kieslick, the butler, Mr. Zaug, and Beasley, the chauffeur. Naturally, all your household expenses and garage bills for the Pierce Arrow will be taken care of as well, directly by Mr. Wickersham.
Mr. Gilchrist, how can I live on $750 a month?
We each give our mother $250 a month. That would leave Gloria with only $500.
I see. Well, perhaps we can make allowance for that.
Well, but anyway, that's not the point. The point is my baby should be with me. When will she be with me again?
Right.
As I say, everyone involved is agreed that she's so much better off in the country just now.
What about Gloria? She's involved too, don't you think? Maybe she's not quite so agreed.
Can't something be done for me to get my baby back? Whatever I do is wrong.
Good morning, Mrs. Vanderbilt. Mr. Birkin is expecting you.
Oh, Gloria. Gloria, welcome home. Welcome home. Come here. How are you? You look wonderful. You all right? How's your family?
All right, all right.
Come here. Sit down. You want something? Coffee?
Please.
Black? No sugar.
Right.
You got it. Tell me, how is Thelma? She's still gonna marry the Prince of Wales, isn't she? Huh? Well, isn't she? Come on, the suspense is killing me.
They never marry commoners. You know that, Nathan.
Oh, Thelma's such a peach. If I was the Prince of Wales, I'd make an exception in Thelma's case. Here you go.
Actually, it's all over with him.
You don't say.
But he must have a weakness for non-royal girlfriends. He's taken up with another one.
Anyone I know?
Her name's Wallace Simpson.
Well, that rings a distant bell. Gloria, what can I do for you? To what do I owe this pleasure?
Well, I think I might need a lawyer.
Well, now. I think you knocked on the right door. Step this way, please. Here we go.
So, when Gertrude suggested that I leave her with her, I just went along with it. And Gloria's been with her ever since. But now I want her back with me. And Gertrude's saying that she still wants to keep her with her. And I have a funny kind of feeling that there might be some problem about it all. So I thought I'd get some advice. Here I am. What do you think?
Well, you know, Gloria, the trouble with people like Gertrude Whitney is that they sometimes get to think of themselves as beyond the law of man and nature. Maybe it's all that money that makes them that way. I don't know.
What can I do? Is there anything I can do?
Well, we can start by getting you into a stronger legal position by appointing you guardian of your child. That would have been done at the time of Reggie's death, but you were underage.
I'm not underage anymore. How can I become guardian now?
It's simple. We petition the court, Surrogate Foley in this case, naming you the guardian of the child. Routine procedure. Foley will certainly approve of it. You're the mother, and the child belongs with its mother. Simple as that. Okay? Wherefore, your petition of praise that a citation issued to said George W. Wickersham and Thomas B. Gilchrist, why your petitioner should not be appointed guardian of the person and co-guardian of the estate of said infant. That a decree issue appointing your petitioner, Gloria Morgan Vanderbilt, guardian of the person and co-guardian of the estate of said infant during her infancy, and your petitioner will ever pray. Dated New York, 18th day of June, 1934.
I object to the petition, Your Honor.
Will you identify yourself, please?
Walter Gray Dunnington of the firm of Dunnington, Gregg and Church, Your Honor.
On what grounds do you object?
On the grounds of unfit guardianship.
Who is he? What does it mean, unfit guardianship? What does that mean?
In this context, it is an outrage.
What does that mean?
It means it implies blatant immorality, practically prostitution. Your Honor, I must refuse to proceed in this case until I am informed as to who's bringing the complaint objecting to the natural mother's guardianship.
Does Mrs. Vanderbilt insist on hearing?
Yes, she does.
The complainant is Laura Kilpatrick Morgan, Mrs. Vanderbilt's own mother.